Hello YouTube, what is going on? It is your boy GZTV back with another video, and in this video we are going to be discussing the 5th episode of Season 11. This is the final season of that show. We're kind of doing the final season of Dexter, but we also have the spinoff. But this is like the official end. We are within 20 episodes of ending the show. We're just going to get into the plot, the critical reception. You guys know how these go. I watched another episode of Black Mirror last night because I didn't really have any content. I think once a week from here on out, we're going to be posting some stream clips, maybe some funny moments. So, at the Commonwealth, Eugene, Ezekiel, Princess, and Yumiko watch an introductory video on VHS and are given their job assignments and housing information. And, the Commonwealth is kind of being set up to be this, utopia type of setting. It's all perfect. Everyone's protected, and it doesn't seem to be going to shit anytime soon. So there's hope for that, but at the same time, they still have their groups to worry about. Eugene worries that the Commonwealth intends for them to live there permanently, while they would like to get back to their own group at Alexandria. They'd much rather do that. This place is all fine and dandy, but they still have people to care about. They have a chance to leave pretty much because they've been processed and proven to be good people, but I don't know. So Yumiko is overjoyed to be reunited with her brother at a local bakery. So Yumiko's loving it. She doesn't really want to go back. Obviously, you have Magna, you have Kelly, you have those type of characters, but she wants to be with her family. So after Alexandria's wall is compromised and walkers breach the community before being quickly killed, Aaron, Carol, Lydia, and Jerry leave for the hilltop, and upon arriving, scavenge through the rubble left behind from the Whisperer's attack. So they just had to kind of wait for that to settle a little bit, and then they returned. Lydia notices walkers in the distance circling the way Whisperers used to herd them, so she's like, oh shit, there's still a Whisperer presence, and that's kind of surprising, 5 episodes into the season after the Whisperer conflict ended, there's still signs of them. When they investigate, they find one Whisperer still alive who insists that he's the only one left, but Aaron is unconvinced. You can't really trust these Whisperer people. You can't really blame Aaron for that either. At the satellite outpost, Maggie and Negan arrive to find that nobody else regrouped there. Maggie promises that the rest of them will come in time, so they have to wait. They just wait for their people, but Negan's thinking, we need to get these supplies back to our people. They're in dire need, but the immediate attention is towards seeing who survived the Reaper attack. Negan is skeptical, but Maggie convinces him to wait until sundown to be sure. Later, as Negan prepares to give up and go home, Maggie aggressively stops him before Gabriel arrives with Elijah. She's like, no, you're fucking staying, you selfish piece of shit, pretty much. They decide to wait for Daryl and Frost to regroup with them. And it's funny because Daryl and Frost will never regroup with them. And there's going to get to a point where eventually they probably figure that out. And they're going to be like, well, where the hell are they? So, meanwhile in Alexandria, Judith has been teaching the children how to protect themselves with weapons when she spots some local teenagers provoking the walkers through a hole in the wall. And that's obviously a lesson to kids. Don't provoke them. They're like animals. That's like going to a zoo and teasing a giraffe or a fucking lion or something. That's something you don't do. And obviously Judith is one of the more mature out of the kids, so that she's teaching them how to fight, as you can see in that picture I'm showing. Judith runs over to stop them, but they refuse to listen to her. They kind of have that seniority. They're a bit older than her. Later, in a house, Judith finds the handprints Carl made with her on the deck broken and immediately suspects the teenagers, though they deny it. We all know they did it, those little assholes. Judith confides in Rosita about how she feels like everyone is leaving her, but Rosita tells her not to worry, offering to help her put the broken pieces of the deck back together to kind of give her some hope, I guess. It's like a representation of that. When Aaron's group takes the captured Whisperer to the Hilltop dungeons, where they used to hold all their prisoners, like Lydia and some of the other Whisperers, they find several other people hiding, so this guy was lying. The Whisperer lunges at Aaron with a knife, allowing the other people to escape, but this guy isn't safe. Aaron and Jerry violently interrogate the Whisperer and threaten him with a walker, eventually letting him get bit by it until Carol kills the walker, and so he gets bit in the hand, so now they're like, oh, well, you better figure out quick and tell us so we can amputate your hand, or else you're going to get fully infected and you're fucked, you're dead. She begs Aaron not to follow vengeance the way she did during the Whisperer War. They need to be the bigger people, they need to move on from this past experience. Aaron amputates the Whisperer's arm, saving his life before the Whisperer reveals that Connie is still alive, and that's a pretty big revelation for the group. Obviously, we knew as like an audience, but yeah. So back at the Commonwealth, Eugene tells Stephanie that he'd like to radio back to his group at home, but Stephanie reveals that the radios are government property and that getting authorization to use them is a long and complicated process. You have to sign a bunch of paperwork, you have to do all sorts of different things, and they're not really up to it. And this is how she works in comms, so she can communicate with whoever the fuck she wants, you know? They come up with a plan to gain access to the radio secretly, but shortly after making contact with Rosita, they are cut off and arrested for using government property. That's like kind of like in our country, like breaking into the White House and like calling someone on the president's phone or something. Not like that big of a stature, but yeah. Eugene, Princess, and Ezekiel are threatened with deportation from the Commonwealth, but Stephanie calls in a favor to save them. And they don't... Do they really want to be saved? I feel like they kind of want to be casted away to their people. But yeah, they're like, we're going to kick you out. And most likely, if you get kicked out of the Commonwealth, you're never going to be on good terms with them. So at the same time, the group doesn't really want that. So yeah, I mean... This is a pretty solid episode. 75%, 7.5 out of 10, 12 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. The Commonwealth gets explored and proves too good to be true, while Out of the Ashes is a believably fine table-setting installment, befitting a season that has been more solid than gutsy so far. Yeah, not a bad episode. You know, you really get the establishment of the Commonwealth, what they are about, and I think that's a really nice touch. The episode's pacing is a little bit questionable. The whole thing is just a little dull when you come right down to it. A little dull, a little uneven, and shockingly slow pace for the final season of The Walking Dead. You know, you'd think the creators would want to like really like boom, get in your face with the action to set up for a great way to close the show. It got a B- on the AV Club. You know, I like the Commonwealth storyline. That's obviously the strongest part of the show. You know, the repetitive nature of Maggie and Negan's strained relationship gets kind of annoying. It doesn't really feel like a rivalry. It just kind of nags at you. The tension makes sense. You know, Maggie's never going to forgive Negan, and understandably so, but that doesn't mean it's fun to watch them hash out the same conflict episode after episode. And it's usually like cringy, fucking, like, very generic stuff. Like, maybe if they gave Negan, like, the smart-ass dialogue every now and then, it'd be more interesting. But yeah. Denegate gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Nicotiro's directing was pretty good this episode. One of the best things to say for Greg Nicotero as a director is that he always seems to understand the assignment. You know, Nicotiro's greatest strength still lies in his sense of the visual. So yeah, I don't really have much to say. This season, I don't know. It might not be one of the strongest ones, but I guess it's not a terrible way to close out the show. There's a lot of storylines brewing, like what's still in the background that we didn't even discuss in this episode, like, you know, how Daryl is going to deal with the Reapers. Is he going to want to stay with them for long? Is he going to like fold eventually and get caught in the act? Is he going to like escape and return back to the group and like plot revenge on them and go to war or something? We're not really sure what direction that's going to go. That's a pretty interesting like storyline, as well as the Commonwealth. Obviously the Commonwealth is like the really big part, honestly, that they're trying to stress this season, and I like it. I like that there's this new like utopia, like I forget what the governor's town was called, but like that. It's just like that in like early Alexandria. It's got that nature to it, and I think this show kind of needed that. But anyways, leave it, like, comment, and subscribe. As always, it has been GZTV, giving you guys the best TV show, movie content out there. Up next, we're going to be talking about Black Mirror. So yeah, have a good rest of your day.